Hey guys, today for your assignment you're going to be doing more work like we've been doing with inequalities. So if you remember, we started working on those early last week, and we've got our page on the 7th which tells us what inequalities are and what the symbols are and a few examples of how those would be written as phrases. And then we talked about how to graph them. So if you need a refresher on when to use a closed dot and when to use an open dot, you should go back to that page in your notes as well, because that's important for today's assignment. Remember, it's a closed dot if there's an equal sign underneath it. It's an open dot if there's not. Then we worked on combining like terms, which is really the same way you combine like terms when you are working in an equation. Remember, the big difference is that you have to reverse the direction of the symbol if you multiply or divide by a negative number across the symbol. So these are pages that we already have in our notebooks. The last thing that we did was continue to practice some of the language like at most and at least, and how to write some of the inequalities, and then we also practiced how to do long division. And so the back of your page today also has problems for long division. Today, one of the differences on the assignment is that instead of it just being a one-step solution, it's a two-step solution for your inequality. So if you look at the worksheet, number 1 is 6a minus 3 is greater than 21. That's number 1 on today's worksheet. Remember, the goal is to get a by itself. The first thing I want to do is work on combining this negative 3 with this 21 so that I can get a by itself. So if I do that, I have 6a minus 3, and I have to take the inverse to get rid of it. So plus 3 is greater than 21. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So 21 plus 3. Those kind of cancel each other out and equal 0. So I'm left with 6a on this side. 21 plus 3 is 24. In order to get a by itself, this actually says 6 times a. The inverse of 6 times a is a divided by 6. Whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side. Those cancel out, and a is greater than 4. And that's how you solve the problem. So you're not really doing anything differently today than you have been doing, but you are doing two steps. The other thing to think about is don't forget to switch your symbol. So let's pretend that this problem had said negative 6a minus 3 is greater than 21. This is what the problem actually is on the paper. But let's pretend that it was negative 6a. And I still go through all of the same steps by doing the inverse of subtracting 3. I add 3. So I get negative 6a is greater than 24. This is the only thing that's different about an inequality versus an equation. When I divide, I have to divide by negative 6. And in doing so, I have to follow that rule of changing the direction of the symbol. So now my answer is a is less than negative 4. So that's what you're going to be doing today. The worksheet looks like this. This is the first problem that we did. Don't forget to graph them. If you can show your work on here, it's helpful to show your work on here. Otherwise, show your work on a piece of paper and then staple it. You have plenty of room on the back to show your work for the division. So you need to show your work here for the division. As far as will there be remainders, your guess is as good as mine. You've reached an age where I'm not going to tell you whether or not there is a remainder. If you get a remainder and it makes sense, then that's probably the right answer. But remember, if you get a remainder and it's actually greater than your divisor, that's not right. So just take it easy, take it slow, make sure you're following all the steps and you're doing your best work. If you don't finish this today, it's homework, so make sure you get it done. When you do finish it, if you finish it here at school, it goes in the math tray. Make sure you can ask your teacher, you can ask Mrs. C, you can ask Mr. Harlan, you can ask your sub, you can ask adults for help. You are doing this assignment by yourself, not with a partner, but if you need help, then you should ask for it. All right? I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.